It's no secret that Destiny in its current state is just it's a bag full of gluten-free dicks. It's just not in a very good place. And a lot of the community has come to terms with this. We've been starved of content. We're desperate. People understand this. The state of Crucible is just a laugh. It's terrible. The balance, the lag, the PvE content. We've not had anything substantial in 6 months. Outside of the raid and the extension and the locked content, we've not had anything new since the Taken King came out. We do know that there's a spring DLC slated. I want to talk a little bit about that. Kind of reality versus expectations, because to be fair, and you got to think about this spring DLC is going to need to deliver hard, because as of right now, if it falls apart, you might as well just call time a death. Destiny is toast, at least until Destiny 2 comes out. Yeah, people will trickle back for the expansion, but I mean, it's in a very rough place. The community has just been trialed, they've been tested, and they've been disappointed, and that trust has been lost. And this DLC that is coming in spring, probably March or April, is going to need to be sufficient and substantial enough to keep us entertained for the next 6 months until that big expansion comes. And there's a long list of things they're going to need to do before they can execute that properly. So let's start with the basic information we know. The light levels are going to be increased. Ultimately, what this means is we're going to get a whole new collection for armor and weapons that are going to allow us to scale our light level even higher than it is now, which is an exciting thought at first, but you have to understand the way the game works right now. Most of the variety in weapons comes into play in Crucible. The situation is Crucible is extremely unbalanced right now. The entire meta is Mida, Last Word, Thorn, Conspiracy, and Thousand Yard Stare. Ask yourself, how many of those legendaries, even though there's like 100 of them in the game, how many of those do you actually use? How many do you pull out and use? Now, think about it. How many of those are going to be functional against a Thorn or Last Word? The answer is none. You'll occasionally outplay a person if you're using like a PDX or a Hawksaw or a Doctor, and there are a few of those guns that can do a decent job of holding you up against those exotics, but truth is, those guns are overpowered, and significantly so you're naturally handicapping yourself if you're using anything besides those weapons, and a lot of people don't venture off that unless they're just goofing around. So for the most part, those guns are usually dismantled or just kept in storage. The truth behind this is every gun belongs to an archetype inside this game. They're plugged in, they have the same stats as multiple other variants and duplicate types of weapons inside the game with very, very subtle, minimal changes to stability or something like this to keep them slightly different from the other ones that share that damage and rate of fire output. So, when this new DLC in spring drops, all it's going to be are the same guns that you currently have access to. They're going to plug them into those same archetypes. They're going to change the name and act like they're selling you something brand new. And unless they do something about the balance inside of Crucible, the guns are going to be useless from the start. And that's the sad truth behind it. But we're going to move on to the other thing that they really need to deliver on. And I don't have faith in them to execute a new PvE experience entirely. PoE it fell short for me. It didn't last, and I didn't like it too much. And I feel like they have to deliver a raid. It's been 6 months. We had 2 raids last year. If we don't have at least 2 raids this year, not only are you like not delivering on the content that you should be delivering on, seeing as how, you know, you kind of set a pattern for yourself, what should be expected, so you've already screwed up that much. But if they don't release a raid, that's going to hurt them beyond what you would think, because raids are one of the few things that can extend the life of the game. You get the normal raid, and then that lasts for a month or two. Then the hard raid's unlocked, and that keeps everybody hype and busy for the next month or two. Then the challenge modes are released, and everybody's content for the next few months. That is going to hold us over until that big expansion comes out. Anything short of that is probably going to flop, and I can't see anything working. So if they just give us strikes or some little shitty content or anything like that, this game is not going to last another 6 months. It's just toast. So I know a lot of people are thinking, I have a feeling that it could be reviving the old raids. It'd be cool if they brought both the Crota, the Oryx, and the Vogue back, raised the light level, and maybe added challenge modes to the Vogue and the Crota raid so that it would be a little different, because just bringing back something that we've already spent 6 months grinding for is not going to be the most exciting in the world. I know a lot of people want to do Vogs and stuff again and have armor and stuff to go for, but it's not going to be fun because it's not a new experience. So they're going to have to tweak it. They're going to have to work with it. So that could be something they deliver, but they're going to definitely need to make sure they create something that's going to keep people content for 6 months, seeing as how they're not fixing the problems that are currently existing to make sure that Crucible's a fun experience and extends the replayability. They're going to need to make sure that new stuff is so good that you forget about all the bad stuff that they're not fixing. And that's just how I feel. What do you think's gonna happen? You think a new raid's coming? You think they're gonna fall short? Do you think they're gonna do anything with Crucible? Leave a comment down below. I'm curious to see what you think is gonna come from this spring DLC. Thanks for watching, guys. Subscribe if you're new here, and I'll catch you around sometime. Stay moist.